The ceremonial hall of Kepler Station was full of excitement. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered there. Harrison watched from the human delegation's seats as Council Speaker Mordun walked to the speaking platform. Mordun was tall with features that looked like crystal. "Today marks a historic moment," Mordun announced. His voice carried the authority of thousands of years. "We welcome humanity into our eternal brotherhood of peace." Harrison looked across the hall at War Prince Thekvar. The Xanthari leader had reptilian features that showed no emotion, but Harrison could see the planning in his yellow eyes. Thekvar caught his gaze and offered what might have been a smile among his species. The ceremony went on with ancient rituals and speeches about unity and cooperation. Each council member spoke about humanity's potential and the bright future ahead. Harrison played his part perfectly. He expressed gratitude and humble determination to prove worthy of the honor. When the time came to sign the Galactic Peace Accords, Harrison stood beside the beautiful treaty table. The document was amazing. It was written on a material that seemed to shift between solid and liquid. His signature would bind humanity to the Council's laws and protections. As he lifted the ceremonial writing tool, Harrison's communicator vibrated with an urgent message from the Liberty. 3 simple words. "It has begun." Harrison signed his name with steady hands. Even as he did this, he knew that Xanthari warships were already moving toward human colonies. The applause that followed felt like funeral bells to him. "Welcome to the Galactic Council, Commander Harrison," Thekvar said. He extended a clawed hand. "I look forward to our future cooperation." Harrison shook the hand that had ordered the deaths of millions. "As do I, War Prince." The reception that followed was a blur of congratulations and diplomatic talk. Harrison smiled and nodded while his mind raced through tactical possibilities. Earth Command had backup plans, but the Xanthari strike would be terrible. 2 hours. Into the reception, Harrison's worst fears came true. Lieutenant Murphy appeared at his side. His face was pale. "Sir, we need to talk." Privately. They found a quiet corner away from the celebration. Murphy turned on a jamming device before speaking. "New Geneva is gone, sir. Population, 4 million. Terra Nova managed to get most civilians out, but the orbital platforms are destroyed. Kepler Station held for 30 minutes before they broke. Through." Harrison closed his eyes. "Casualties?" Early estimates suggest 7 million dead across all 3 systems. The attacks were coordinated down to the second. They knew exactly where to hit for maximum damage. "And the Council's response?" Murphy's expression grew dark. "That is the worst part, sir. They are calling it an unfortunate misunderstanding. Some sort of rogue Xanthari faction acting without authorization. War Prince Thekvar has offered to investigate the matter personally." Harrison felt something cold settle in his chest. "They are all in on it." "Sir?" "The Council." They knew. This is not about stopping humanity from becoming a threat. This is about making sure we know our place. Harrison looked back at the celebration. Alien dignitaries raised glasses to human Xanthari friendship. Thekvar was telling a group of council members what appeared to be a funny story. "What are your orders, Commander?" Murphy asked. Harrison was quiet for a long moment. He watched the beings who had planned the murder of his people. When he spoke, his voice was calm and steady. "Send a message to Admiral Carter. Tell her the line has been crossed. Humanity's response will be educational." "Sir?" "They wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy, Ryan. Time to show them what happens when you try to school the children of Earth." Harrison walked back into the reception hall. The celebration continued around him. Aliens from dozens of worlds talked and laughed and made deals. They had no idea that everything was about to change. Council Speaker Mordun approached him with a glass of something that sparkled. "Commander Harrison, how are you enjoying your first council reception?" "It has been very educational, Speaker," Harrison replied. Good. There is so much for humanity to learn about galactic civilization. We have maintained peace for 50,000 years through careful balance and wisdom. Harrison took a sip of his drink. It tasted like metal and flowers. Yes, I can see that your methods are very effective. Morden smiled, not understanding the real meaning behind Harrison's words. Indeed, young races often have difficulty accepting their proper role at first. But they learn. They always learn. Yes, Harrison said quietly. They do learn. Across the room, War Prince Thekvar was receiving congratulations from other council members. They praised his restraint and wisdom in dealing with the rogue elements in his military. He accepted their praise with humble grace. Harrison watched this performance and felt his anger grow cold and focused. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They were used to young races accepting whatever they decided. They were used to their word being law. They had made one critical mistake. They assumed humans would react like other young races. They assumed humanity would accept this lesson and learn to be grateful for whatever scraps the council offered. Harrison touched his communicator and sent a coded message to the Liberty. Then he walked over to War Prince Thekvar. War Prince, I wanted to thank you personally for your efforts to find those responsible for the attacks on our colonies. Thekvar's yellow eyes glittered. Of course, Commander. These rogue elements will be found and punished. The Zenthari Empire does not tolerate such actions. I am sure they will receive exactly what they deserve, Harrison said. The two leaders shook hands again. Around them, the reception continued. Aliens celebrated the newest member of their exclusive club. They talked about trade agreements and cultural exchanges and mutual cooperation. None of them noticed the small ships that had begun appearing at the edge of their sensor range. Ships that did not match any known designs. Ships that moved in ways that defied conventional understanding of physics. The celebration went on for another hour. Harrison played his part perfectly, accepting congratulations and making polite conversation. But his mind was elsewhere, calculating timing and considering the reports that would soon begin flooding in. When the first emergency alert reached the council chambers, it came from a Zenthari border world. Ships of unknown design had appeared and eliminated the entire system defense fleet in less than 10 minutes. No demands had been made. No communication had been attempted. The second alert came from the Zenthari homeworld itself. Unknown vessels had appeared in orbit and were systematically destroying military installations. Again, no communication, no demands, just precise, overwhelming force. By the time the third alert arrived, War Prince Thekvar had gone pale. His aide whispered urgent reports in his ear about fleets being destroyed and planets being occupied. Harrison watched the aliens' growing panic with cold satisfaction. The lesson was beginning, and before it was over, the entire galaxy would understand that humanity was not just another young race to be managed and controlled. The reception was about to become much more interesting. Admiral Carter stood in the war room beneath Cheyenne Mountain. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing the aftermath of the Zenthari attacks. The faces of Earth's military leadership reflected the same cold fury she felt burning in her chest. General Paul Anderson was head of colonial defense. He broke the silence. The official casualty count is 7.3 million. Mostly civilians, children, families who thought they were safe under the Council's protection. Secretary of Defense Maria Lopez leaned forward. The Council's response has been pathetic. They are treating this like a paperwork error. 3 days of formal protests and stern warnings, while our people are still being pulled from the wreckage. Carter studied the tactical displays. The Zenthari had shown their hand completely. They believed humanity was broken, demoralized, ready to accept whatever scraps the Council offered. They were wrong. What is the status of Project Midnight? Carter asked. Dr. Kevin Barnes was head of the military's Black Research Division. He stepped forward. Fully operational, Admiral. We have been ready for 6 months. Carter nodded. For 3 years, while diplomats talked peace, Earth's best minds had been preparing for war. Not the conventional warfare the galaxy expected, but something entirely new. General Rodriguez, how soon can we mobilize the Ghost Fleet? General Carlos Rodriguez looked at his tablet. 72 hours for full deployment. Our ships are already moving into position throughout Xanthari space. The room fell silent as everyone understood what Carter was talking about. She was planning a military operation that would make the Xanthari strikes look like children throwing stones. Admiral, Lopez said carefully, if we do this, there is no going back. The Council will turn against us completely. Carter's smile was colder than deep space. Maria, they already have. They just have not admitted it yet. She turned on the main display, showing the galaxy's political map. Human colonies appeared as tiny blue dots scattered among the vast territories of the Council races. For 50,000 years, the Council has maintained peace through a simple principle: keep the young races weak and dependent. They thought humanity would be just another client species, grateful for scraps from their table. Carter touched a control, and the display changed. Now it showed shipping lanes, communication networks, and resource flows throughout the galaxy. They made one critical mistake. They assumed we thought like them, patient, conservative, willing to accept our assigned place in their hierarchy. Dr. Barnes stepped forward. Admiral, the Xanthari communication networks are completely infiltrated. Every military frequency, every command channel. When we move, they will be deaf and blind. Carter turned to face the assembled leadership of humanity's war machine. Ladies and gentlemen, for 3 years we have played by their rules. We have been diplomatic, reasonable, civilized, and they repaid our good faith with the murder of 7 million innocents. She paused, letting the weight of those words settle. It is time they learned why humans do not make good slaves. General Anderson leaned back in his chair. What is the objective, Admiral? Carter's expression did not change. Complete strategic victory. We are not fighting for colonies or territory. We are fighting for the right to exist as a free species. And if the Council intervenes, then they will learn the same lesson as the Xanthari. Dr. Barnes pulled up another display showing weapons, specifications that had never appeared in any public database. The new ships carry technology the Council does not know exists, weapons that ignore their shields, drives that make their sensors useless, and armor that turns their best weapons into fireworks. Carter watched the faces around her. These were the people who would lead humanity's response to genocide. Their expressions showed the same cold determination she felt. The Ghost Fleet had been humanity's greatest secret. While the Council races built bigger versions of the same old technology, human scientists had taken a completely different path. They had asked questions that alien races had stopped asking thousands of years ago. Dr. Barnes explained to them what we have built. Barnes activated a new display showing ship designs that looked nothing like conventional spacecraft. Phase shift technology allows our ships to exist partially outside normal space. They can appear and disappear at will. Quantum resonance weapons rewrite the basic structure of matter. Temporal manipulation drives let us arrive before we leave. Lopez shook her head in amazement. How did we develop this so quickly? Because we had to, Carter replied. The Council races have had thousands of years to perfect their technology. They became comfortable, predictable. They stopped innovating because they did not need to. She gestured to the tactical displays showing human colonies. We knew we would always be outnumbered, so we had to be smarter, faster, more creative. We had to build technology that would make their advantages meaningless. General Anderson studied the weapon specifications. These systems are beyond anything in the Council databases. That was the point, Barnes said. We did not try to match their technology. We made it obsolete. Carter activated her communicator. Commander Harrison, this is Admiral Carter. Operation Midnight is authorized. Show them what humans really are. Across the galaxy, in the depths of space where no alien sensors could reach, humanity's true fleet began to move. Ships built in hidden shipyards, powered by technology derived from principles the Council had never imagined. They were crewed by humans who had learned that sometimes peace could only be preserved through overwhelming force. The first wave materialized in Zenthari space, like ghosts becoming solid. No alarms sounded because no sensors detected them until it was too late. The human ships moved through Zenthari defenses like they were not even there. Zenthari warships that had seemed invincible during the colonial attacks found their weapons useless against human armor. Their shields meant nothing against weapons. That attacked the basic structure of matter itself. Their speed was worthless against ships that could step partially outside normal space. First wave reports complete success, Rodriguez announced. All primary targets eliminated. No human casualties. Carter watched the tactical display as red icons representing Zenthari military assets began disappearing. Each one that vanished represented hundreds or thousands of alien warriors who had believed they were fighting primitive humans. Second wave deploying, Barnes reported. Government and communication targets. The Zenthari Empire was not just being defeated. It was being surgically dismantled. Every command center, every communication hub, every shipyard was being eliminated with precision that left civilian areas untouched. Admiral, Lopez said quietly, the Council will demand explanations. Carter turned to face her old friend. They can demand whatever they want, but they will get the truth. The truth is that humanity refuses to be anyone's victim. The displays showed human ships appearing throughout Zenthari space. Not dozens, or hundreds, but thousands. Ship designs that defied everything the galaxy thought it knew about space warfare. Weapons that made conventional defenses useless. Technology that turned the established order upside down. Third wave launching, Rodriguez announced. Industrial and resource targets. Carter watched her life's work unfold across the galaxy. For 3 years, she had planned for this moment. Every diplomatic meeting had been an opportunity to study alien technology. Every cultural exchange had been a chance to place hidden sensors and infiltration devices. The Council races thought they were so superior, so advanced. They had forgotten that intelligence was not measured in years, but in adaptability. They had forgotten that the most dangerous enemy was not the strongest, but the most creative. Admiral, Barnes said with satisfaction, the Zenthari Empire has effectively ceased to exist as a military power. Estimated time to complete occupation, 6 hours. Carter nodded. The lesson was being delivered with surgical precision. In less than a day, humanity had eliminated a galactic empire that had existed for thousands of years. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their diplomacy or their technology. It was their absolute refusal to accept extinction. War Prince Thekvar stood in the command center of his flagship, the Dominion's Edge. He was looking at reports from the successful strikes against human colonies. The operation had been better than all expectations. Humanity's response had been exactly what the Council predicted: protests, demands for justice, and finally, acceptance of their new reality. War Prince. His aide, Subcommander Keldon, approached with a communication tablet. The Council has formally criticized our actions. They are demanding we pay money to the humans. Thekvar's laugh was a harsh sound. Of course they are. They must keep up the appearance of justice. How much? 50,000 credits per confirmed casualty. About 365 million total. Acceptable. A small price for keeping the humans in line. Thekvar turned back to the tactical display. What is the status of our fleet positioning? Excellent, War Prince. Our forces are deployed throughout the sector. Any human attack can be crushed within hours. Thekvar nodded. The humans had surprised everyone with their military abilities during the war, but they were still thinking like a young species, limited, predictable. They would probably try some symbolic strike against a border outpost. This would allow the Zenthari to respond with overwhelming force and end this matter permanently. Alarms suddenly blazed throughout the command center. Keldan rushed to the sensor station. His expression changed from confusion to alarm. War Prince, we are detecting massive sensor ghosts throughout the fleet. Every ship is reporting the same thing. Thekvar frowned. Sensor malfunction? No, sir. The patterns are too coordinated. It is almost like... Keldan paused, checking his readings. Again. Like ships are appearing out of nothing. Before Thekvar could respond, the main view screen came to life. A human face appeared, calm and professional. Commander Harrison from the peace ceremony. War Prince Thekvar, this is Commander Jake Harrison of the United Earth Forces. I wanted to personally inform you that your education begins now. The transmission cut off. It was replaced by a tactical overview that made Thekvar's blood run cold. Human ships were appearing throughout Zenthari space. Not dozens or hundreds, but thousands. Ship designs that did not match any intelligence reports. They moved in formations that defied conventional tactical doctrine. Impossible, Thekvar breathed. Where did they come from? His answer came in the form of weapons fire that tore through his escort fleet like tissue paper. The human ships were not using conventional energy weapons or kinetic projectiles. They were using something that seemed to rewrite the laws of physics. It cut through Zenthari shields and armor as if they did not exist. Emergency jump. Thekvar commanded. Get us out of here. Jump drives are offline, War Prince. Something is interfering with our navigation systems. On screens throughout the command center, Thekvar watched his mighty fleet being taken apart with surgical precision. Human ships moved like ghosts, appearing and disappearing at will. They struck with weapons that his sensors could not even properly track. Sir, Keldan's voice was barely controlled panic. We are receiving reports from across the Empire. Every major fleet concentration is under attack. Every military installation, every... He paused, checking his displays again. Every government building. Thekvar realized with growing horror that this was not a military strike. It was a decapitation operation designed to cripple the entire Zenthari Empire in a single coordinated assault. How is this possible? He demanded. Our intelligence reports showed they had maybe 200 ships total. His communications officer looked up from her station, face pale. War Prince, we are receiving a transmission from Admiral Carter of Earth Command. Carter's face appeared on the screen. Her expression showed none of the diplomatic courtesy from the peace negotiations. War Prince Thekvar, I want you to understand something very clearly. For 3 years, while you planned genocide, we planned for this moment. Every diplomatic meeting, every cultural exchange, every peace negotiation was an opportunity to study you. Behind her, Thekvar could see displays showing the systematic destruction of his empire's military infrastructure. You made one fatal assumption. You thought we were like you, predictable, limited by conventional thinking, willing to accept our assigned place in your carefully ordered galaxy. Another explosion rocked the Dominion's edge as a human ship appeared directly off their port side. You forgot that humans do not think like any other species in the galaxy. We do not accept limitations. We do not acknowledge impossible. And we certainly do not forgive the murder of 7 million innocents. Thekvar watched his empire burning and finally understood the magnitude of his miscalculation. The human ships were using technology that should not exist. They phased in and out of normal space like they were stepping between dimensions. Their weapons ignored every known law of physics. Their defenses made Zenthari weapons look like primitive tools. War Prince, Carter continued, your fleet is destroyed. Your government is gone. Your military infrastructure has been eliminated. In about 6 hours, we will own every strategic position in Zenthari space. The transmission paused as if Carter was considering her next words carefully. Around Thekvar, his crew worked frantically to save their dying ship, but he could see the truth in their eyes. This was not a battle. This was an execution. You wanted to teach humanity our place in the galaxy. Consider this our response to that lesson. The screen went dark, leaving Thekvar alone with the wreckage of everything he had built. His empire, which had lasted for thousands of years, was being eliminated in a matter of hours. "War Prince," Keldan said quietly, "what are your orders?" Thekvar looked at the tactical displays. Red warning lights flashed across every screen. His fleets were gone. His worlds were occupied. His government was eliminated. In less than a day, the humans had undone millennia of Zenthari expansion and conquest. "There are no orders," he said finally. "There is nothing left to command." On the view screen, he could see human ships moving through Zenthari space with impunity. They were not destroying cities or killing civilians. They were simply taking control of everything that mattered. Every shipyard, every military base, every government building, it was the most professional conquest in galactic history, and it was being conducted by a species that most of the galaxy still considered primitive. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we are receiving surrender terms from the human fleet." Thekvar almost laughed. Surrender terms. As if he had any choice in the matter. What do they want? Complete demilitarization. Reparations for the colonial attacks. And, she paused, your personal surrender for war crimes. Thekvar nodded. Of course they would want him personally. He had planned the genocide. He had given the orders. In human terms, he was a war criminal. But as he looked at the displays showing his empire's destruction, he realized something else. The humans had not just defeated him militarily, they had outsmarted him completely. Every move he had made, every plan he had formed, had been anticipated and countered. The young species he had dismissed as primitive had played a game he did not even know existed, and they had won so completely that he could not even understand how they had done it. "Signal our surrender," he said quietly. "All units are to lay down arms immediately." As the Dominion's edge powered down its weapons, Thekvar contemplated the magnitude of his failure. He had tried to teach humanity its place in the galaxy. Instead, he had taught the galaxy that humanity's place was wherever they chose to make it. The storm had passed, and in its wake, everything had changed. Commander Jake Morrison walked through the long metal corridors of the space station. His boots made soft sounds on the floor as he moved toward the meeting room. The walls around him were covered in strange blue lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. This was Nexus Prime, the biggest space station in the galaxy, and Jake had never seen anything like it. 3 years ago, humans had first met aliens. It was not like the movies. There were no laser battles or scary monsters trying to eat people. Instead, the aliens had been polite and curious. They called themselves the Galactic Council and said they wanted to be friends with Earth. Jake stopped at a large window and looked out at space. Hundreds of alien ships floated around the station. Some looked like giant flowers made of metal. Others were long and thin like needles. A few looked like nothing Jake could describe. Each ship belonged to a different alien race that was part of the Council. The Council had many members. The Etherians looked like tall people made of light blue crystal. They spoke in voices that sounded like music. The Zephyrite looked like giant bugs with 4 arms and big black eyes. When they talked, it sounded like clicking sounds that machines turned into words humans could understand. The Tidals lived in water and looked like jellyfish the size of cars. They spoke by making bubbles that changed color. At first, the aliens had ignored Earth. They said humans were too young and stupid to join their group. But Dr. Lisa Carter had changed their minds. She was the smartest person Jake knew when it came to understanding aliens. Lisa had spent 2 years learning how to talk to them the right way. She learned their customs and their history. Slowly, the aliens started to respect her. Jake reached the meeting room and saw Lisa standing near a huge table made of some kind of green stone. She was reading notes on her computer pad. Lisa looked tired. Her brown hair was pulled back tight, and there were dark circles under her eyes. She had been working day and night to make this meeting happen. "Good morning, Lisa," Jake said as he walked over to her. Lisa looked up and gave him a small smile. "Morning, Jake. Are you ready for this?" Jake nodded, but he felt nervous. Today was the day the council would vote on whether humans could become full members. If they said yes, Earth would have a voice in how the galaxy was run. If they said no, humans would have to stay in their small corner of space and watch from far away. Captain Alex Bennett came into the room next. He was in charge of the human ships that were parked around the station. Alex was a big man with gray hair and serious eyes. He had fought in Earth's last war before the aliens came. Now he spent his time making sure human ships were safe in alien space. "The alien fleets are moving again," Alex said in a quiet voice. "My people counted at least 50 new ships that arrived last night. They say it is for training." "But I do not like it." Lisa frowned. "What kind of ships?" "Warships," Alex said. "Big ones, the kind you use to attack planets, not to practice flying." Before anyone could say more, the alien representatives started coming into the room. The first to enter was Veltar, the Etherian who spoke for his people. He was 8 feet tall, and his crystal body caught the light and threw it around the room in rainbow colors. Veltar had always been kind to the humans before, but today he did not look at them or say hello. Next came Hive Speaker Zixcol, the leader of the Zephyrites. She was as big as a horse, but walked on 6 legs like a giant spider. Her black eyes looked at the humans for a moment. Then she made a clicking sound that Jake's computer translated as laughter. But it did not sound like happy laughter. Speaker Thoran floated into the room in a tank of water that moved on its own. The title looked like a blue jellyfish with long arms that glowed softly. Bubbles came up from the creature, and the computer said, "The young species arrives." How interesting. More aliens came in, filling the room with strange smells and sounds. Jake counted representatives from 43 different worlds. All of them were older and more advanced than humans. Some of their civilizations had been traveling between stars for millions of years. The room became quiet when Veltar moved to the center. His crystal body made soft musical sounds as he walked. He stopped and looked directly at Jake. "Commander Morrison," Veltar said, his voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "The Galactic Council has finished studying your species. We have watched your people for 3 years. We have seen your cities, your technology, your art, and your wars." Jake felt his heart beating faster. This was it. After all the waiting and working, they would finally know if humans had a future among the stars. "We have made our decision," Veltar continued. The crystal alien raised one arm, and the air above the table began to glow. Slowly, a picture formed in the light. It was Earth, blue and beautiful, floating in the darkness of space. But there were red marks all around it, like targets. Jake felt cold. Those red marks were not decorations. They were targeting systems, military markers that showed where weapons were pointed. The Council has reached a unanimous decision regarding humanity's application for full membership, Veltar announced. His musical voice now sounded different, colder, more dangerous. Lisa stepped forward. "What kind of decision?" Veltar's crystal face showed no emotion. "That will be explained shortly. But first, you should know that your escort fleet is now surrounded. Any attempt to leave this system will be considered an act of war." Jake looked at Alex, who was checking his communication device. The captain's face had gone pale. "Jake," Alex said quietly, "they are right. There are over 2,000 alien ships out there. We are trapped. The room filled with alien sounds, clicking, bubbling, and musical tones that the computers could not translate fast enough. Jake realized the aliens were talking to each other, but they did not want the humans to understand what they were saying. Finally, Veltar raised his arm for silence. The demonstration is complete. You may now see the true reason you were brought here. The picture of Earth changed. Now it showed human ships, human space stations, and human colonies. All of them had red targeting marks. You are not here to join the council, Hive Speaker Zixcol said, her clicking voice full of what sounded like joy. You are here to surrender. The word surrender hung in the air like poison. Jake Morrison felt the blood drain from his face as he stared at the targeting displays floating above the council table. Every human world, every ship, every space station was marked for destruction. Hive Speaker Zixcol moved closer to the humans, her 6 legs making sharp clicking sounds on the floor. Her black eyes reflected the red targeting lights as she spoke. Humanity poses an unacceptable threat to galactic stability. Your species expands too fast. You ask too many questions. You refuse to follow proper rules. Dr. Lisa Carter stepped forward, her hands shaking slightly. What threat? We have never attacked anyone. We have followed every law you gave us. We have been peaceful. Speaker Thoran made bubbles that turned dark purple. The computer translated the colors into words. Peaceful now, perhaps, but we have studied your history. You are a species that makes weapons before you make peace. You split atoms before you learn to travel between stars. This is not normal. Jake tried to keep his voice steady. Every species has wars in their past. That does not mean we will have wars in our future. Veltar's crystal body flashed bright red. Your past is not the problem, Commander Morrison. Your future is the problem. We have run thousands of computer models. In every single one, humanity becomes a threat to the established order of the galaxy. Admiral Kate Sullivan sat in the command chair of her flagship, the Earth Defense Ship, Liberty, far away in Earth's solar system. She was reading the message that had just arrived from Nexus Prime, and each word made her angrier. Kate had gray hair and scars on her hands from her days as a pilot. She had fought in space battles before, but nothing like what the Council was threatening. The message from Jake was hidden inside normal communication signals. It told her everything about the Council's trap. Kate read the alien demands again and felt sick. They wanted Earth to give up every military ship. They wanted human leaders to step down and let aliens run Earth instead. They wanted to move billions of people to new worlds where aliens would watch them like prisoners. Admiral, said her communications officer, Lieutenant Sam Hughes, we are getting reports from all our colonies. Alien fleets are surrounding every human world. They have us completely cut off. Kate looked at the main screen. It showed the positions of alien ships throughout human space. There were so many red dots that they looked like a swarm of angry insects. How many ships total? Over 2,000 confirmed, ma'am. Maybe more. They have been moving into position for weeks while pretending to do training exercises. On Nexus Prime, the Council continued their demands. Veltar waved his hand and new images appeared in the air. These showed plans for human colonies on distant worlds. The colonies looked like prisons with high walls and guard towers. These are the worlds we have chosen for human relocation, Veltar explained. Each world can support exactly 50 million humans. You will be moved there in groups over the next 10 years. Population growth will be controlled to maintain stability. Jake felt anger building in his chest. You are talking about breaking up human families, about controlling how many children we can have, about treating us like animals in a zoo. You will be treated fairly, Hive Speaker Zixcol clicked. You will have food, shelter, and work to do. You will be safe from the dangers of independent thought and action. Lisa Carter could not stay quiet anymore. Independent thought? You want to control how we think? We want to control how you act. Speaker Thoran bubbled, his colors shifting to angry orange. Your species does not know its place. You believe you can go anywhere and do anything. This causes chaos. Captain Alex Bennett had been listening to his communication device during the entire conversation. Now he looked up with worry in his eyes. Jake, my ships are being scanned by alien weapon systems. They are preparing to fire if we try to leave. Jake turned back to Veltar. What happens if we refuse your offer? The crystal alien's body went completely transparent for a moment, then slowly returned to its normal blue color. Then humanity will be eliminated. It will be quick and clean. Your worlds will be turned into museums to remind other young species what happens when they refuse to cooperate. You are talking about killing billions of people, Jake said. We are talking about saving trillions of other lives, Veltar replied. The computer models are very clear. If humanity continues to grow and expand at its current rate, you will eventually challenge the Council's authority. Wars will start. Many species will die. It is better to solve the problem now. Admiral Sullivan received another coded message from Nexus Prime. This one contained the full text of the Council's ultimatum. She read it twice to make sure she understood it correctly. Then she called her senior officers to the command deck. Gentlemen and ladies, Kate said to her officers, the Council has given us 72 hours to surrender completely or face total destruction. They want us to give up our ships, our independence, and our freedom. Commander Ryan Walsh, her second in command, looked at the alien fleet positions on the tactical display. Admiral, even if we gathered every human ship in space, we would still be outnumbered 20-1. Their technology is more advanced than ours. A direct fight would be suicide. I know the odds, Ryan, Kate said, but I did not join the Earth Defense Fleet to surrender to bullies. On Nexus Prime, Jake Morrison was thinking about his response to the Council's demands. He knew that billions of human lives depended on what he said next. He also knew that the Council expected him to beg for mercy or try to negotiate better terms for surrender. Instead, Jake stood up straight and looked each alien representative in the eye. I need to communicate with Earth before I can give you an answer. There is nothing to discuss with Earth, Hive Speaker Zixkol clicked. The terms are not negotiable. You will accept them or your species will be destroyed. Then I guess we need some time to prepare for destruction, Jake said calmly. The aliens made surprised sounds. Veltar's crystal body flashed several different colors quickly. You would choose death over reasonable accommodation? I would choose death over slavery, Jake replied. And I think I speak for all of humanity when I say that. Dr. Carter stood beside Jake. Commander Morrison is correct. We would rather die free than live as prisoners. Captain Bennett joined them. The human fleet stands ready to fight regardless of the odds. Speaker Thoran made angry red bubbles. This is foolishness. You cannot win against the combined might of the Galactic Council. Jake smiled for the first time since entering the meeting room. Maybe not, but you might be surprised at what humans can do when they have nothing left to lose. The Council representatives began talking to each other again in their various languages. Jake could see they were confused by the human response. They had expected fear and surrender. Instead, they were getting defiance. Finally, Veltar turned back to the humans. Very well. You have 72 hours to reconsider your position. After that time, the Council fleets will begin the elimination of your species. We suggest you use this time wisely. As the aliens began to leave the meeting room, Jake activated his communication device. He sent a short message to Admiral Sullivan, using a code that only humans knew. The message had just 3 words: Execute Protocol 7. Far away on the Liberty, Admiral Sullivan received the message and smiled grimly. Protocol 7 was something the Council knew nothing about. It was humanity's final card to play, and it was about to change everything.